Hello there. Good morning from England. I think it's probably about 6 or 7 o'clock in Hong Kong, where one of our learners has joined us from. Thank you for joining in on this. Um, it doesn't seem that you can speak. It's not like Zoom or Skype, but I can see that 2 or 3 people have joined already. From a little marker at the top of the screen there. If you do want to speak, you can switch on live chat, which is over on that side of your screen, and type messages in there. That's the return key. It sends any comments along there. Since it seems to be set up more like a lecture, I'll continue. I'd like to go through the digital elements of the course so that you can navigate and find your way through. The course is, and this is where I've got to figure out how to share my screen. No, I can't share my screen. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I'll find it later on. So the bulk of the course, or the course executive, the driver for the course, is the ebook, and the ebook is available on Google Play Books. I've set it so that the test pilots, the 5 test pilots for today, all have access to the book for free. And you can do that in Google Play Books by setting the reader as a trusted book reviewer. So it gives you a chance to write a review of the book as well. Once the book's downloaded, it will sit on all of your devices. It will sit on the laptop, a desktop at work if you have one, a tablet if you can afford one, and it'll be on your iPhone as well, or of course on the Android phone. It probably works better on Android phone because that's a Google product. I can see people beginning to join there. The live chat stream that's going on screen. So welcome. Four people are now online. Fantastic. I'm going to use, since it's set as a lecture, which I was kind of hoping that would have a little bit more interactivity. Hello, Ellie. I was hoping we're going to have more interactivity, but I'll continue to deliver it as a lecture. And then the interactivity, you will see, we'll be able to gain that in the Google document later on. So I'm going to go through the 4 pieces of technology, the 4 software environments that will let us run the course. The first one is the ebook, and the ebook acts as a course executive, almost like the lecturer talking, giving you new information, and then trying to send you out to ask you to do a particular activity. The first activity is going to be the problem jostle, and the problem jostle, I'm going to take that online in Google Documents. So it's really important that you're set up and logged into a Google Drive and a Google Documents area. Again, I've made that so that it links from the book. So if you're reading the ebook and you get to the page where it says go to the problem jostle, then the link, I've tested the link, alpha tested it, and it does work through there. If you do have any problems, then find a way of communicating with me. Either email me or what's the other way, or send me. Lots of people are using WhatsApp, and colleagues over in China and Hong Kong are using the other one. What's the other one called? WeChat. So I speak to you on WeChat if that's your preferred way of communicating on there, and I'll try and fix it. The other activity is a type of test which it will be marked. The computer marks it, but the lecturer, I won't ever see the marks. They're not stored and they don't count towards any kind of qualification. Simply finishing the course gives you the qualification. You're not judged in any way along on the course. I feel that when you're doing writing, it's a very personal process. So the testing that's in the computer test simply marks you and gives you a score, and only you can see that score. And I've set it in such a way that it uses short answers. So it's forcing you to spell the word correctly, which is quite difficult when you meet a new technical term. particularly the first one that we start with, which is hyperlage or hyperlage, a type of a literary term. So there's some great challenges in there, and it gives you a chance to have lots of other goes until you do get it right. So it's not to destroy your confidence, it's to try and build your confidence and to give you the vocabulary to talk about technical writing. So as you do in the technical aspects of travel writing, it gives you the vocabulary to say, I'm going to try this now, and apply that into your writing. The other big area of delivering some content, and in particular theory, as I've used a PowerPoint, and on the PowerPoints, nowadays it lets you record a little bit of text, a little bit of spoken commentary or narrative, and I've recorded about a minute's worth of talk for each slide, sometimes a little bit less. I did a test with this and did a long talk for some students at Bournemouth University, and then played back and saw how long people had viewed the video for, and the average view time of a video on YouTube is only 7 minutes. I can see as well we've been speaking now for nearly 7 minutes, and so that's about as long as people want to stay watching a YouTube video. So I've made a PowerPoint with 2 or 3 new theoretical and technical terms. I'm using grammatical terms from English language. I'm using technical terms and literary terms from travel writing, and from literary travel writing in particular, travel writing where you develop a greater creativity and you develop your own identity. And I'm also using terms from ethnography, excuse me, because ethnography is one of the key social sciences that we rest on and that we build on for literary travel writing, particularly when we start to go out into the field, which hopefully we will get a chance to do one day again. So when we go out into the field, we'll be doing ethnographic practices. And so I'm introducing lots of theory and technical terminology from ethnography so that you become more and more comfortable with that terminology. And that's delivered in a PowerPoint that's made up into a packaged M4V, a movie or a little video. I'll be really interested, because you're the test pilots, when you've watched that a couple of times, is if you can give me some comments on that. And just this morning I've thought where I can ask you to put comments, because then we can all see them, is in the problem jostle in the Google Drive document that you should have access to. And that nicely leads me into that area. That's the first exercise I would like you to try and tackle, and that's to use the theory of the imaginary. It's a space that you know from your own, not particularly childhood. Think more, say, if you've spent a long time in a particular town, if you went to university in a particular town, or if you spent quite a long holiday in a particular urban space. And so you've built up a strong image of one particular street corner or one particular monumental building. And the example monumental building that I use in my online lecture is the Pantheon, which is a tourist location in Paris that lots of people know, and that you can easily find photographs of on the web if you want to look at it. So try and find something from your imaginary. The imaginary is that space in the memory that you can call up a whole image and look at that image in your own mind. And that's the first piece of writing that I'd like you to do in the problem jostle. And when we get into the problem jostle on Monday morning at 11 o'clock UTC, UK time, British summer time, we'll start to do some work on that particular text in there. The next stage, so if we do that on Monday, is then to sort of work through that on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then return to the online area on Thursday and Friday to tackle the longer piece. And that's your first portfolio piece. And that's a longer piece of writing that shifts from a fixed piece of looking at one image from your imaginary to add some narrative to that. And so it's to move you out of the present tense into the past tense. I know one of my students, Ellie, I think Ellie's online still, yes, there. she challenged this idea of all travel writing being in the past tense, and I feel I'm changing my mind now, and so that we can have travelogue set pieces that are in the present tense and narrative pieces in the past tense. So this first moving you from the problem jostle into your first portfolio piece, is to move you from the present tense into the past tense, but for you to experiment between the two and explore the difference that makes to your own travel writing, your literary travel writing. And I imagine that you'll probably tackle that round about Wednesday or Thursday, and then have something ready by Friday. And as we move to that stage, Friday of next week, so about 4 or 5 days, 5 or 6 days from now, it's a piece that you would want to share with me as the tutor, and for me to write some comments and make some suggestions in that. And so technically, you need to move that into another Google Drive document that just belongs to you, but then in the share option, in the top corner of the screen in Google Drive documents, you can do a share and share it back with me. And the email address that I'm using for Google Drive is c.mansfield, not the full Charlie Mansfield, but c.mansfield @ and then the rest of the email address there. And that will share it back only with me. Once we've done some work in that, it leaves your written piece there as the beginnings of your portfolio. And throughout the whole course is that you'd build up a portfolio that you could share with someone else then. It belongs to you, so you can choose who you share it with. You might share it with someone that you're asking for a commission, perhaps an editor of a magazine, a travel magazine, who you want to pitch for some work to, and you want to show them an example of your writing in there. So that document stays belonging to you, that you can work with in the future. Anything else? I'll see. We'll work with these live lectures. I'm I won't make too much of a judgment about them now, but I was hoping I will be able to share screens with you. I was hoping you'll be able to speak, but at the moment it doesn't seem to let me do that. I'll look into other ways of doing that. There's Zoom, of course, and there's Skype, and there's FaceTime, and there's one that I went to a conference in Marseille just yesterday, in fact, and that allowed people to speak. So we may experiment with other ways of more live interaction using this process. Any particular questions, either pop them onto the live chat at the bottom there. But I'm beginning to wind up now. Yes, Clarice, yes, I think Zoom. I think if we do this again, we ought to do it through Zoom, because it gives everybody a chance to see each other, and it brings it to life more. You can see the whole class. Exactly, yes. And if we are too shy, we can hide on there. So thanks for that. I think Zoom would probably be better. I'm using it for some other teaching, and it's great. Any big comments about the course as you wrestle with it? Pop them in the problem jostle, but lower down on the screen. You'll see when you go into the problem jostle, it's lower down on the screen. But the interesting part, the travel writing part that you're beginning to do, put that up in the top of the screen. I found as well is that you can almost brand yourself in there by having a particular colour. Oh, is there? Thanks, Clarice. I'll look into that. I'll go and explore that as well. I'll learn how to do that. When you're in the problem jostle and you want to talk to someone else, because you've got quite a big audience in there, you've got the whole class in the problem jostle, particularly when we're fully synchronous and not asynchronous as we are today, but when we're fully live in there on Monday morning, is to brand yourself by picking a colour. Your little avatar will appear at the top of the screen, but you can also, when you're typing, is colour your text a particular dark colour, a blue or a green, or I'm using a magenta mauve colour so that people can see it's me. And I prefix what I say by saying CM says, or CM thinks, or CM asks, to try and stimulate the way that the problem's working. I think we'll leave it there. I thought I was going to try and stick to 6 or 7 minutes, and I managed to do double of that. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for agreeing to be test pilots over the next week, and we'll meet again in a Google Drive document on Monday morning at 11 o'clock UTC, which is British Summer Time. Thank you then. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.